Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Talking Games with Kellie and Andrew. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Kellie.
Did I say it different? It felt different.
There was more emphasis on the I. You were like, I'm Andrew.
I felt like I said the hello, everyone different. I felt like everything was just like a little off today.
Yeah, definitely. That's kind of...
This kind of.
Sorry,
I
started speaking and then, immediately yawned. That kind of tells you what day it's been for me.
Well, it's been a long time since we recorded.
Right.
It hasn't.
Right.
Normally,
it's
if we
almost like a double feature for everybody.
It kind of is. The thing is like usually if we have to postpone until like Thursday, we'll just be like, all right, let's just call it off this week because like at that point we're only a few days till Monday because we release it on Friday. But we didn't. And like in my head personally, I was like, well, maybe we'll call off this week because I doubt there will be like any news at all. And then the industry said, we got you, fam. Do people still say that? Do I sound hip?
No. If you have to ask.
I'm behind on everything, though. Like, I love dabbing. I dab.
Yeah. That's true. You do that a lot.
But it's new for me. I mean, relatively. Like, I've been dabbing for probably the past, 10 months, I'd say. I've been really into the dab culture. That sounds like marijuana. I'm really into the dabbing culture where you put your nose into your inner elbow of your right arm and your left arm goes into the sky.
Audience, you may think this is a bit.
No, I dab a lot.
It is absolutely not a bit.
No, I dab a lot. And right now I have beautiful lighting because usually I close my door, so I'm locked in this little recording closet. But today I was like, oh, but the sun's out. So I have the door cracked, and I look amazing in this lighting. And you know what would make me look even better in this lighting?
Don't do it. Don't do it. Oh, my God. He just dabbed.
I dabbed.
He just dabbed. You know what you should do?
What?
You should hit the gritty. Can you do that?
I don't know what that means. I know
Don't
that's
you play
a
Fortnite?
dance. No. I haven't played. You say that every time. Like once a month, you're like, you play Fortnite? And I was like, I did for a bit, 2 years ago.
Well...
I've seen a child.
You should return.
I watched a child hit the gritty, but I don't remember it. I just was with people and they're like, oh, he just hit the gritty. And I'm like, I don't know what that means, but I know it's a dance in Fortnite. Is it from Fortnite or do they just take it?
It's from a song.
Oh.
I think. Don't ask me. I don't know.
You don't know how to hit the gritty?
I actually do know how to do it, but I don't know where it came from.
Oh.
But it did not come from Fortnite.
This is one of those times I really wish we had a video podcast so that you could step away from your microphone and hit the gritty for me so I know what it looks like. But then it would just be silence for how long is a gritty?
It kind of depends on your stamina.
Oh, so you could gritty for theoretically an hour plus.
That's right.
So
you
could
be gritty as long as you want.
You could be grittying this whole episode.
If you have a Red Bull and a dream.
I think
the gritty could never end.
I think I'm sensing the title on this podcast episode might be episode 131. Kellie hits the gritty.
That's right.
Anybody hit the gritty in the video game sphere this week though? Is hitting the gritty is a good thing, right?
I guess so.
Okay.
I don't really think so. It's been kind of a weird couple of days. Like Andrew was saying, we just recorded on Thursday, so there's not a ton of new things. But there are some new things, like our first story, which is about Square Enix, and their restructuring plan, quote unquote, where we now know basically that they will be restructuring through a variety of layoffs in both the EU, the European Union, wow, and the United States. So
it's weird.
I feel like this is not surprising. Usually when companies say that they're restructuring, it means that layoffs are happening.
It's usually all it means, right?
Yeah. It's just a nicer way of saying that they're downsizing. So
I only find it a little odd because it's Square Enix, and like we have seen like no layoffs from Japanese companies. The only exception I can think of is Sega, but that was Sega of America. And it is kind of silly to see. I have to wonder if there's like Japanese decision makers that did decide on this, but they wouldn't do it in Japan still because they care about those workers or something, or if this was made at a higher level of Square Enix in the United States and Europe. To be honest, I thought Square Enix of the West had basically died after the Embracer debacle because Embracer bought like everything from them. So
right.
I didn't realize that they had any like serious function in the West still, to be honest, which is a little embarrassing of me. But that might also be part of it because like what are they working on? They lost all their IP.
Yeah.
Who knows? But we got a little bit more Square Enix news. This one tied back to Japan. The Central Studios. They have stated in a public forum that they are planning to, quote unquote, I think I'm using that wrong. They're planning to, quote, aggressively pursue, unquote. There we go. Multi-platform approach to their game releases from now on. I read this as Final Fantasy VII Rebirth didn't sell too good. And I know Final Fantasy 16 didn't sell too good. And I have a feeling Xbox is probably not the biggest thing, but taking the PC market away probably hurt.
Yeah.
It's probably not worth those money. Like, I'm sure Sony gave quite the pretty penny to Square Enix to make it exclusive to PlayStation. That wasn't their decision, I'm sure. Like, well, it was, but I'm saying like they didn't just decide it for fun. Like, I'm sure there was an exchange of dollars or yen. But it seems just from the way they're talking now that they probably, the money they're getting for that exclusivity does not, like they would just make more if they put it on other platforms. The sales would make up for that money by far, probably, just on how they're talking. But I think this is good because I think the only time I think exclusive games make sense are when the console manufacturer are making them. That's my personal opinion. I think it's silly to buy exclusives. Is that unhinged of me?
No, I would, I think that exclusivity makes sense in terms of like launch titles, that sort of thing. But even that, it's kind of like, what even is a launch title anymore? Especially when sometimes these consoles launch with like absolutely nothing.
Right. And
except for Bug Snacks.
Bug Snacks, of course.
And Astro's Playroom.
But in my brain, like, I see those games as, and this is kind of like old brained of me, like this is not the case anymore, but I see those launch games as those same console manufacturer games, like PlayStation made games for PlayStation, Nintendo games for Nintendo consoles. Like I think like I played Stellar Blade. I think it's so stupid that game is only on PlayStation. There is no reason in the world for that to be only on PlayStation, other than I really don't want to see the PC modding scene for that game. But that's unrelated.
You don't even have to PC mod that game. That's the thing. PC mods are created to fulfill a certain demographic, like a desire from the audience. The audience of Stellar Blade has everything that they could possibly want right there at their fingertips.
I found out very recently that there's a quote-unquote secret costume, which is just if you go over the costume you're on and select it, you will unequip it and then be kind of naked.
Wow.
It's
a kind of naked woman. That's crazy. I don't think you can see that anywhere on the internet.
Yeah, you guys have access to infinite free content of that sort of illicit nature. Why do you need your games to be like that? Come on.
To go back to the Square Enix
the news,
the news that we were talking about. I think this really makes sense, especially if they're leaning in with their remakes. Like if they continue to do remakes, which at this point I don't really know. I don't think they'll be on the same scale as 7. Even if they were to remake a popular one like 10, or I don't know.
I mean, the 9 rumors were heating up pretty good.
Yeah. I think it makes sense that they want to sort of break any sort of exclusivity so that they can have a little bit more flexibility in the remakes that they're making. Like if they were to do a remake that was more like 2D, 3D style, it makes sense that something like that would also be available. I mean, that something like that would be available on all platforms because you're not constricted by performance. So they're not beholden to like staying on the PlayStation. So I think that this is a good thing for Square Enix, who have been making some maybe not so great decisions lately. But
also,
that's neither here nor there.
As part of the quote, they did say that they are planning to include PlayStation, Xbox, PCs, and Nintendo platforms. So I think they are using indirect speak to mean the next Switch, which makes sense. I'm sure there's probably some Square Enix games in the pipe that might come to the original Switch, but I think if we have the mentality that like the Switch 2 will be like a souped up PS4, it will be able to get most big games, you know, because most games these days are still coming out on PS4.
Right. I had a really good segue for the next story.
Oh, sorry, did I ruin it?
No, it's okay. I was just going to say, speaking of not great business decision making, Suicide Squad is a game that came out. Did we play it? No. I'm sorry, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And it has cost them $200 million at Rocksteady, or Warner Brothers Discovery, who owns Rocksteady, who made the game. So, not great.
Gasp.
Not shocking.
I'm gasping for air. I can't even breathe how much I'm gasping because this is so shocking.
What are Warner Brothers Discovery going to do now?
My guess.
What is the purpose of the studio any longer?
I'm gonna guess they keep making live service games until it works.
It's interesting how they had a like relatively successful game that came out and it was not live service and it made money. And then they were like, let's not do that.
When you say relatively, are you talking about last year's best-selling video game?
Yes.
Okay. When you said relatively, I was like, are we talking about something else or are we talking about Hogwarts, which is a profoundly extreme success?
I would say that it is a success in financial terms alone. I don't think that game has lived very long in the public consciousness.
But for a single-player game, that's that's okay. You know, they don't need it. A game can come and go. I mean, I just checked it has over 25 million sales. So like,
I would say that there are single player games that do exist beyond just like a flash in the pan. I'm thinking of one that has a DLC coming out this summer in like a month. Elden Ring?
Oh, yeah. But like in my brain, Elden Ring is like top tier. I feel like most mid-tier games, which I would call Hogwarts Legacy mid-tier, do ultimately come and go in a lot of ways. Like, if there's no discourse around what the game is, in a sense, it's like people are just, they tend to forget. Because neither of us have played it, but my understanding is that, like, it's a good game and people like the world, but it didn't shake anything up. And the only discourse did end up being, like, J.K. Rowling stuff. So...
Which is why I would consider it. That's why I said it was like relatively successful.
Yeah, but I'm sure Warner Brothers is happy. Well, and the other thing is like if they made another one tomorrow, well, not, but like the next game, because they're making another probably live service version. Like it'll sell incredibly well as well. But it's just one of those games that nobody's really probably going to think about between entries.
Yeah.
So
it kind of reminds me of like Pal World. Like, everybody was talking about it for, like, a week because there was controversy. People don't really talk about it anymore. People don't really talk about Hogwarts Legacy. If they announced a DLC for it...
Oh, I don't know how that would do.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
I honestly... But who knows? Because you and I are kind of detached from it, so it's almost like I would love to know. Genuinely, I would love them to release a DLC so I could see how successful it is.
Yeah. A DLC that turns your game into a live service game.
That's a great idea. They should probably do that.
Anyway.
I mean, Hogwarts still has a decent player base on Steam. Not as big as Pow World, but Pow World also does not have that big a player base in comparison to a lot of other games. That's crazy to say after the start that it had.
Yeah.
But another company decision that I'm not so sure about, Atlas, Sega have announced that when Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance releases at the end of June, they will be pulling from sale the digital versions of Shin Megami Tensei 5, the original release, and all of its DLC. Most of the DLC is just kind of like little items. I'm mixed on this. I honestly don't think it much matters to get rid of the original game. I think that they should leave it up because preservation, but like I know that they're going to take it down. But if it's the same price, there's no reason not to buy the new version that's just more content. However, I think it is absurd to get rid of the DLC because people can still buy this game physically. And now those people are locked out of the option to get DLC. I think that's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a bit strange. I don't really understand the thought process, nor will I ever. So I'm not sure. Not sure why.
I don't think games should be delisted ever.
I agree. And I think that it is about preservation, in this like increasingly digital age. It's like things can just be taken away from you, even though you supposedly own them. It's very frustrating.
And I don't even like the DLC of 5. I think it's kind of like a tiny bit exploitative because it's like add-on fights and stuff that were clearly going to be in the game, and then they ripped them out and started charging like microtransactions. Like I think that's bad. But if somebody picked up SMT5 secondhand, they should still have the option to get these things if they want them. And I think it's cool that those things are just included in Vengeance, so you don't have to buy all that stuff. They're kind of trying to make the price as worth it as they can, in a sense, I think. And I honestly don't think $60 is a terrible price for Vengeance. If the content is as expansive as they've implied, which I assume it is, and if they're including all this DLC, I think that it probably will justify that price tag. For me, it's not justifying the time sink. Like, I'm not actually worried about the price. I'm just like, I'm not going to play that game again because, like I've said before, you have to get to the halfway point to start the new content. And the new content looks so cool. Like, the new trailer that came out, like, a week ago, 2 weeks ago. We didn't really talk about it, but, like, it looks, like, way different. And, like, the protagonist looks different, which is crazy. Like, I know that's a small change, but the protagonist's look is pretty central to the Shin Megami Tensei 5 identity. That long blue hair boy is very iconic to the game, so changing that for the DLC is kind of crazy. It's not DLC, but for the expansion is kind of crazy. Anyway, I just don't think it's good to delist stuff.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Hey, when was the last time you went on your Nintendo Switch and looked at your social media integrations?
I don't know. I tweet videos for my PlayStation. Well, I used to tweet videos for my PlayStation. I don't know the last time I did for my Switch, though.
Well, you won't be able to do that ever again because Nintendo is discontinuing its integration with Twitter, or X, if you will,
I won't.
Next month. So, yeah. Good. It's kind of like it's such a horrible platform now. They're not even discontinuing it because of how bad the platform is. It's just like a money thing. Like X is charging companies to integrate like this.
I saw that it was $40,000 a month.
Yeah,
for these companies,
crazy.
Which I mean, that's for a company like Nintendo. I guess that's not that much, but that's a lot of money. That's $500,000 a year.
Yes.
I understand why they're being like, no.
Yeah.
Plus, lose it. They're no longer going to be associated with the platform. So.
Yeah, it's a horrible platform. If you're on it still, I am still on it. It's really bad now. It's really bad. The advertisements are awful. The things that you see on your timeline without being asked are awful. It's just slop. It's piggy slop of the worst variety. So, Nintendo said, I think we're done. I think we're done with all that.
Well, they're also last to the party because PlayStation and Xbox already did this, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, it's almost kind of surprising that they still were integrated for so long. But there was something else that they were integrated with that I thought was really funny, but I can't remember what it was.
Miiverse.
It was like, yeah, the Mii, yeah. That was what it was.
I think I know what you're. I mean, it has Facebook. Well, is it still called Facebook?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think I understand some people's frustrations with this because for PlayStation and Xbox, they got rid of it. But if you like save a clip on your PlayStation or Xbox, it's on your phone like immediately. It's like, oh, it's in the cloud. You can look at it from your phone, which is great. Mm-hmm. That's cool. So you can hit download and then tweet it if you want to. But the options on Nintendo for pulling things onto your phone are limited and not very good. And that's the problem, I think.
Yeah.
So maybe they got, Switch 2's around the corner. Hopefully that console will have a similar functionality where you can download to your phone super easily. I mean, the place that it's best is Xbox, where I literally, if I save a screenshot, it like uploads it to the cloud and then my phone dings and it's like, hey, here's your thing. Do you want to look at it? You want to send this to somebody? You want to share? You want this? You want this? And I'm like, whoa, thanks. And I mean, I'm sure I could turn that off, but it is very nice because usually if I take a screenshot, the easiest way for me to share it with my friends is to just text it to them. And if it's on my phone, I just do it. There's no like awkward taking a picture of my television to give you a blurry, miscolored version of it. So, but I think it's probably good to sever their ties with that brand officially, because even though Twitter is still like a place that I peruse all the time, there's a lot of toxicity around it.
Yeah.
And like the thing is like for me, I use only the following tab. I don't use the For You tab because I know what I'll see on the For You tab and I don't want that. And I follow I have every account I follow muted except like a couple news accounts. So mine is just like video game news feed. So I still like using Twitter when it works because sometimes it stops working. But I think this is probably a good move for Nintendo. Save the money, save their brand. But that's not the only thing Nintendo did this past week. They announced, coming to Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo World Championships NES Edition, which is a video game, not a event. Do you remember they did like a new in 2015? It says right here, 2015 and 2017. They did Nintendo World Championships. Like they did a revival of it, and they had people playing all these games and stuff, which I thought was really cool. It's kind of surprising they're not doing that with this game, especially because like they probably have a pretty scant summer event. It'd probably be kind of cool if they did like a, I don't know, like they did a in-person version of this to advertise the game and get people all excited and engaged. But I personally think it looks really boring because did you play NES Remix?
Nah.
So the thing with NES Remix was it was like a bunch of NES games, but like remixed. So like you'd be playing Kirby and it'd be like, oh, there's a Mario enemy, or you'd be playing Zelda and it'd be like, oh no, Metroid's here. Gotta shoot a Metroid. And it was like cute and fun little challenges, but this game has none of that. It is just speedruns that last a few seconds and then you're done. And they are just the games. There are no like remixing. So it feels like a lesser version of NES Remix to me.
Right.
I also just don't like playing NES games very much. Sorry. They're old.
Wow.
It's just
that's illegal. They're gonna kill you.
I like playing Super Nintendo, but I feel like original NES just has like a certain feel that I don't really care for. So, but $30 seems really steep for 150 challenges across 13 NES titles, which sounds like a lot, but I watched them do one, which was get the first mushroom in 1-1 on Mario, which takes 8 seconds. So,
yeah,
even if it's only $30, like $30 is a lot for what I am seeing.
Yeah, it does seem quite steep.
But
it does seem quite steep.
I guess they're fluffing out the rest of their year, but I'm also surprised that it's like, this seems like the kind of game you announce and release like right away. So I'm surprised this wasn't in the Switch Direct. in June.
Yeah. Very interesting. Hey, Andrew.
Hey.
Are you excited for the next Assassin's Creed game?
Oh, you know it.
Well, you won't have to wait long because as of time of this podcast going out, tomorrow, you will be able to see the new cinematic reveal for Assassin's Creed Shadows, formerly known as Assassin's Creed Red. Well, yippee!
The Japan one.
Right.
This is the only time I'm curious about seeing. Like I haven't
there one like on the like
Vita?
PSP or something, and it was also in like East Asia.
Vita, and yeah, I don't remember the exact context, but it was a side-scrolling game. They had like I think it's Assassin's Creed Chronicles, which is a series of side-scroller games that all took place in different places.
Is this going to be like a $70 like main Assassin's Creed game? Okay,
it's the new one.
I see.
Also, I just saw
Interesting.
The release date was accidentally attached to the YouTube description, so it's November 15th of this year.
Oh, well, that's kind of nice. I always appreciate a shorter runway for these, a shorter marketing runway for these big games.
Oh, yeah. And this is like I kind of said, this is the only time I've been interested in seeing a new Assassin's Creed, I think, in my life. And also, like, I know it's probably set in, like, some form of ancient Japan, but this like, teaser that they're giving is, like, Assassin's Creed, what would you call this thing that we're looking at?
It's like
marquee.
A shrine. It looks a bit like, like a marquee shrine sort of thing in the middle of a busy Japanese street.
Yeah.
Market street.
I think this is Sotenbori.
What if this Assassin's Creed game is set in like modern times?
That's what I was thinking. I know this is crazy, but like looking at this, I'm like, it would be. Also, did I say Sotenbori?
I think so.
The real thing is Dotonbori. I am a Yakuza I'm a bad person. I played Yakuza.
You mean like a dragon?
No, I mean that one is from Yakuza, so I don't feel bad about saying that one. But the thing for me is, if it was set in like the 80s in Japan,
that would be cool. The 80s.
I know they'd probably rip off
or even
Yakuza
like the
at that
60s.
Point,
yeah, man.
There's so many things they could do. I mean, this specific teaser makes me think 80s just because of the eccentric loud colors. I mean, this is real life. This is a real thing that they put up in Japan and then filmed it. I'm just curious how they kept everybody off the street for this. Like, this did not seem like a fun thing to put up and be like, you can't walk this way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm excited. I'm curious. This is like I said, the only time I've probably been looking forward to watching one of these. The other thing that annoys me is it's a cinematic trailer. I'm like, just show me the game. Come on, just show me the game.
What was the last one? Valhalla?
Technically
before Mirage?
Mirage is the newest one, but before that was Valhalla, yeah. So I mean, this might technically be the size of Mirage and not Valhalla, but with all the ways they've been talking about it, I'd be pretty surprised. It seems like Mirage was kind of its own little thing as an experiment if they could do smaller titles, and it didn't work exactly. So I don't know. We'll probably talk about it next week because that's when we will have seen the trailer.
So true.
So
true. Time does pass.
But yeah, to our surprise, there actually was news this week. Who knew that could have happened?
Who? What are you, an owl?
Good transition. What did you play this week?
Why was that a transition?
You don't know?
Is there an owl in the game that I'm about to talk about?
I don't know. You sound kind of silly right now. I think you sound a little dumb, just a little bit dumb.
What?
Yeah, I think you might.
What are you trying to say? How are you trying to set this up?
You just said, "What are you trying to say?" I just called you a little dumb. I'm not trying. I did. I said it.
Why?
I don't know.
Why are you calling me a little dumb? Have I ever been so mean to you?
Yeah, just probably not on the air.
Wow.
You're smart.
I've never called you dumb.
You've called me a lot of things, though.
No, I haven't.
You're
really
so
nice
lucky
to
none
you.
of it's recorded. Because I would put a compilation right now of you saying
I'm really
horrible
nice
things.
to you. I'm not a mean person. Except I'm a mean cat because I knock things over playing the game Little Kitty in the Big City, which I did play because it was available on Game Pass. And I played it on my PC. And immediately upon opening the game, I got the pop-up that was like, you should really play this on controller. And I was like,
Really?
don't tell me what to do.
Don't
Okay?
tell me.
I'm using my keyboard and that's that. So I played. I don't know how long I played. It's a very short game.
Do you finish it?
No.
Oh, okay.
It is fun. It reminds me a lot of Untitled Goose Game,
Mhm.
just because it's very straightforward control scheme. You're a cat. You have a goal to get to a place. The goose didn't have a goal as much, just different things that they were supposed to do until they got to the next level.
Oh, really? I assumed this game would be objective based the same way. That's surprising.
There are objectives. The thing I didn't love, and I know that this is I know this is not like a popular opinion or like this is not universal. There were so many collectibles. I kind of don't like to get bogged down in a simple game like this. I don't love to get bogged down in like, okay, I collected 50 bird feathers and 20 I forget what they're called. They're like little knickknacks or something. They're like little screws and coins, shinies, I think they're called. It was just a lot because they acted as different form of currencies. And it was kind of like, I don't know. I liked being able to be a little cat. That was very fun. The world, to me, there was a lot of like cute things that you can do. Obviously, this game is very cute. I don't have to tell you that. There's a lot of cute things you can do. You can nuzzle people. You can trip them. I was really enjoying tripping people and then stealing their cell phones. That was very fun. The writing was cute because you are a cat, but you can talk to other animals. So you can talk to other cats and birds, and there's a mosquito you can talk to.
Oh.
Yeah, and the mosquito likes to go on social media, so they speak in like internet lingo, like they say LOL all the time. They're like, it was cute. It was cute. There was this moment where you're talking to the mosquito. Maybe it's a bee. It's a buzzing insect. And they were like, you have to really demonstrate that you're like not doing well. You have to say LOL after every sentence. LOL. And I thought that was funny. And the world itself is not like super exciting. It's very much just, a little city.
It's
Even
not
though
a big
it seems
city?
like a big city. It's pretty small.
That's kind of a false advertising then.
Yeah. But, I think it's fun. It's like a fun afternoon game. I don't think you're going to be like thinking back on this game in a year like, wow, I really want to replay. I wouldn't say there's a ton of replay value. But I had a good time. The music was nice. The visuals were nice. It's obviously a very light game, so there's not a whole the performance was not taxing.
Yeah.
I had no problem playing on the keyboard, so I don't think that would be an issue if you prefer keyboards. The one thing I really liked, you can get different little hoods for your cat. So there was like a little ladybug one and a little apple.
Did you find the corn cob one?
I did not find the corn cob one. There's a lot. Like I said, there's so many collectibles in this game. It's kind of like...
That's kind of intense for like a 3-hour game.
I feel like these shorter games, what they do is they really try and pad it and make it so that you replay to get all the collectibles. And it's a little bit like, just make it a 3-hour game, Just give someone a nice experience for like a day, and then, maybe you can do it again in a couple of years. Yeah. There's a character I really like. There's a tanuki. He does not like to be called a raccoon, and he can help you shift through space-time, which is like their fast travel.
Oh, okay.
Mechanism.
I was like, why? What? That doesn't fit what I've heard so far.
Yeah. It's fun, though. I mean, I had a good time. I will finish it eventually, but...
I mean, I just checked the average on average it takes people 3 hours or less, so it's not a big one.
Yeah, so
I'll probably give it a go. I was gonna before this week, but
there's no meow button unless I missed it or I haven't gotten to it yet. I'm like, that was half the fun of Stray, was just like meow, meow,
yeah,
meow, meow, like running around meowing at all the robots. I love Stray so much.
So this is where you wouldn't say this compares to Stray? You'd say this is not as good?
No, not at all. Stray is a really good game.
Okay.
And I don't think this is a bad game, but it's a totally different experience. Even though you're still a cat, Stray was about the world that you were in.
Yeah.
More so than you being a cat. Like, the novelty was that you were a cat, but there was so much world around you and it was really rich. Whereas this game is really just about being a cat.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I want to give it a try. It's on my
There
list.
are emotes. So you can sit. There's a few different ones. My favorite was the little disgust emote because the cat will sit there and go like, this is very cute. And sometimes people will like it if you like emote at them and they'll like pet you. But sometimes what happens is that they get like maybe you'll be like hunting a bird to get a feather or something. Mm-hmm. And somebody will see you, like somebody walking by, and they think you're really cute. So they pick you up and you're like, no, put me down. I was doing stuff. It's like that.
Just like real life.
Yes, that felt very much like I could finally commiserate with my cat. I could finally relate to her because anytime she's like walking around and she's looking particularly cute, I go, nope. And I scoop her up and I put her on my shoulder and I hold her like a little baby bean. It's like, that must be so frustrating. And it is. Put me down. Now, does this change what I will do in real life with my cat? No. I will still continue to pick her up because she is a little baby bean. But anyway, if you like cats, you should definitely play this game because it's very cute.
I'm looking forward to trying it at some point.
Yeah.
I'm glad
I think you'd enjoy it
too.
Yeah.
Well, I have an animal game.
Well, why don't you tell us about it?
We're so clever. Animal Well released last Thursday. It's on everything. It is made by Big Mode. Well, it's published by Big Mode, which is Donkey, the YouTuber. I said I'd finish it.
Well,
I was not truthful. See, in my ignorance, I didn't quite put together the fact that we were recording on a Thursday, so I had 3 days to finish it, and I was out of town one of those days and very busy the other two. So I played a bit. I didn't finish it, which is sad because I know it's short, but I still was not able to finish it. I got a couple hours under my belt though. At the start, it wasn't my favorite thing in the world. So it's a pixel art 2D Metroidvania. Something we've seen a lot. It has kind of a cutesy art style in some senses, but also like some horror influence, which I think is really interesting. It's pretty subtle in its design. There's not an overwhelming amount of stuff going on, but it's very pleasing to look at. I recommend turning off the scan lines. I think the scan lines is a cute feature, but I like the sharpness of it with it off. But, try both, see how you feel. But Metroidvanias are always difficult for me because it's like the exploration can get a little frustrating to me if I can't exactly know where to go. But this game has been pretty much consistent forward momentum. I have this always underpinned anxiety because I'm like, oh, what if this is the wrong direction? But I'm like, well, if the game's letting me go there, there's going to be something. It's not going to be a complete waste of my time, and I'm going to gain something or learn something. It started a little frustrating, though, because there's very few save points. And when you die, you go back to the save point. So there were times when I was losing, like, a couple minutes of progress, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's really annoying to redo 5 minutes of gameplay if you just did them. But now that I'm kind of in the flow of it, I feel a lot less pained, and I think I'm getting into the back half at this point. And they have introduced a lot of different tools for my utilization. At the beginning, you're just jumping around. You're like this little bean. I don't know how else to describe you. You're a little circle, little puffball. You're very cute. You're not clearly any kind of animal. You're just a puff guy. But you get you get a disc that you can throw, like a little frisbee, and it goes back and forth, and it's really fun to use. And you get a yo-yo that can zoom and flip around, and you can do lots of different things. And I won't spoil any more, because finding those items is kind of the best part of the game, because they have really interesting uses. And I think that's the thing for me, is like, it started slow and I didn't love it right off the bat, because I had heard so many amazing things and I thought maybe I'd be right in it. But it's getting better the more tools I get, and the more I can kind of think about these puzzle solutions and realize, oh, like I can get into the next room by using this item that I have that I didn't really think about. I never thought about using it that way. And then it ties different mechanics together, so you can use different items at different times. Or sometimes you use two items together, which is a really cool option. I do think, you got to go in with a little bit of patience. That's any Metroidvania, I guess, but be ready to kind of meet the game on its terms at the start. But I anticipate once you're in it, you'll be having a good time. If you like Metroidvanias, and this one's not overly long. So my understanding is it's about 5 hours long. So I'm about 2.5 hours in. So I think I'm at the halfway point. I am going to be finishing this game. Despite kind of a slow start that made me question, I'm pretty much all in now, and I'm looking forward to playing more. And it's, like I said, the design is so pleasant. It's has really sharp pixel art. It's really nice to look at. And the main little guy is pretty freaking adorable. Also, there's like vines. So I'm playing it on PS5 because it was on PlayStation Plus as a launch title. Or a day one release, I should say. If you're playing on PC and you have it in a window, there's like these vines that are hanging. If you grab the window and move the window around, the vines move. It like recognizes the movement of your window. Oh. Which I think is adorable.
That's very intuitive.
Right. It's a very cute little feature. And it does nothing. It's just to be cute looking. But I think there's a lot of love in this game is what I'm trying to get at. And that's very apparent when you're playing it. But that's not the only game I played this week, Kelly.
Tell me, what else did you play?
I also slayed a princess. I played Slay the Princess, which is, like I said last week, mostly text-based visual novel. It's a choice-based game, so it presents you with all of these interesting choices, different dialogue choices for you to kind of unravel the story, but you're just plopped in a forest, and a narrator says, hey, you got to go kill the princess, or the world's going to end. And you're like, what? And you're like, why? And he's like, don't ask questions. Just go. Do it. So this narrator's really assertive and aggressive, and he tells you to go do this thing, and you're like, I don't know why. And it's up to you to choose what you want to do. If you want to like fight back against the narrator or go with him. But ultimately, it's about getting several different endings, seeing how this is going to play out. And the thing about it is it's basically like the same 10-minute, 15-minute loop over and over, which sounds boring. But the way it alters things ends up being really interesting. Like, oh, you go down to the dungeon. Oh, the princess looks different this time. Why does she look different? Oh, she's acting different. That's peculiar. Oh, we're in a different room. She has different chains on here. Oh, she said something different there that really changes the context of what's happening. Oh, I dropped my knife. I can't kill her anymore. Oh, I'm going to help her out this time. Oh, she killed me. Like, there's so many different things that can happen. There's just so many outcomes that keep occurring, and some of them are getting really interesting. I've heard this game referred to as horror. I have not been scared at all yet, but it is like some of it can be really shocking, and it is a pretty violent game at times. It's a visual novel, so it's not, gonna make you throw up, but it's a lot more violent than I think I anticipated. And it really uses that to its own advantage, because it's almost like the shock value always works, because the art style is like pencil sketches. Like everything looks like pencil sketches. It's all black and white. The only thing that's in color is like the text of what the princess is saying. Everything else is in black and white. But I really am appreciating what this game is doing, and I have not finished it. Again, it's a short game, but like I said last week, I promised a lot, and I only had a few days. So I wanted to play some after promising the audience, and I am really looking forward to finishing this game, to seeing whatever endings I happen upon. It's my impression that when people play through, it's very unlikely any two people have the same first playthrough. You can see everything. You can see every possible outcome. And the nice thing is that if you are going down a path that is the same for any chunk of time, you can skip past repeat stuff. so you don't have to repeat the same. If you're like going to start the same way and make a different decision later in that you want to see where it goes, you don't have to repeat all of that stuff. You can press R1 or whatever it is on PC, and it will. Well, I'm playing on PC, but I'm playing on controller. But you can skip past a bunch of dialogue, so you don't have to see the same things over and over. It's interesting because like you'll think you're doing the same thing, and you go to press the skip button, and it won't let you, and that's when you realize like, oh, I did something different. We're going down a different path right now, and I think that proves cool. Interesting because you realize like, oh, because you can't just skip anything. You can only skip stuff you've seen before.
Yeah.
So it kind of hints at you like, oh, you did something different. You're going down a different path than you expect. But a couple of the endings I've gotten have been like really shocking. It's funny because like they pull the classic trick of a PC game where like they close it with certain decisions. And at one point I was like, it was late at night and I was trying to decide if I wanted to play more, and the game was like, okay, and then closed, and I was like, all right, I guess I'm done for the night. And it's funny because when I came back, I started again, and it clearly expected me to immediately reopen, and I was like, oh, it's been like 2 days. I'm not. It's been a while. They're talking like I was there 3 seconds ago. I was like, no, when you close the game, I took it as a sign to leave. I literally
said, all right.
I closed the computer. I said, good night.
Fair enough.
But this game's only on PC right now, but I'd be pretty surprised if it didn't get a port to basically everything at some point in the near future. I do highly recommend it. It's under $20. I got it on sale for like 10% off, but I'm sure it'll go. If you wait a few months, once it's a little older, it'll probably be even cheaper. But yeah, high recommendation for that one. I don't know what I expected from it, but it's kind of blowing my mind. And I didn't talk a lot about specifics, and that was on purpose, because I think the specifics are where the real interest lies, where it gets really confusing, or not confusing, but like perplexing in a great way. So I didn't want to talk about those specifics too much. If it sounds interesting, it's probably going to be something you like. If you like making decisions in games, like think about like Mass Effect or Telltale games where you're making decisions, but just that's the entire game, is making those decisions and like seeing different outcomes. It's like the butterfly effect thing, except that's the whole game is that butterfly effect.
It's cool. It's been on my Steam wish list for like, I think since it was in, since before it was out.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty new. It came out a couple months ago, so.
Yeah.
I think it was actually last year, if I'm not mistaken. But
they said wish list now, and I said, say
said,
no
okay.
More. Heard.
Did you say? It's currently 20% off if you're interested. So it's only $14.39 because it's 18.
Wow.
18 retail price.
Wow.
So if you're interested, right now it's on sale. So go check that out. It came out in October, so it's 6 months old.
Yeah. Wow. That was 6 months ago.
October, 6 months ago. It's summer now. I don't know if it's technically summer. Is it technically summer, or is it still spring?
No. It's not summer until June 22nd.
Really?
Yeah, that's the summer solstice.
That's so late.
It is.
It's 80 degrees right now.
It's really warm out.
It's summer.
It's summer. Summertime is now.
What is this?
I don't know. I just sang it. Just came from my brain.
Before we go, just not to get too meta, but so we have a folder with all of our documents from like every podcast that we use for every episode. And every 10th episode, I will put all of the episodes into one folder. So like, for example, when we were on episode 131 now. So I took episodes 120 through 129 and put them in, or 130, I mean, and I put them in a folder. So now we have a folder that has all of the old episodes, so we don't have to like scroll through every time we open it. But what I'm trying to get at is when I did that, it like hit me. I'm like, we're on episode 131 of this thing.
That's crazy.
That's so many.
That's so many. If you had $131, well, in this economy, you wouldn't have a lot.
I was going to say, what, go out to dinner once?
If you were like 10 years old and you had $131, forget about it. Yeah, exactly. That's like generational wealth at that age.
I'm also like blown away at the fact that our literal 3-year anniversary is in a couple weeks here.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
We're about to enter year
gourd.
4.
That's crazy. This will be the last year of our presidency.
Yeah, but we're gonna
stop
win
the
re-election.
count. Stop the count.
Fun fact: when we hit about to hit year 5, it'll just permanently be like episode 172, and then the next one will be episode 172, and then it'll keep going, and someone will be like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Well, we stopped the count.
We stopped the count. We stopped the steal." That's right. That's right, brother.
Oh my goodness, yeah. The fact that we're about to enter year 4, because we're on our 4th calendar year already, which is hilarious.
Right.
But now we're about to enter our 4th podcasting year.
We are about to graduate.
Genuinely, like we are. I mean, obviously we have a year of it, but like the fact that we are closer to having this been on, like this is about to be longer than college was for us.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
That's crazy. Plus, like we don't take summer breaks, so like we're probably already getting close to that.
Yeah. You know, time isn't real, and I'm always saying this. And you might think that I'm wrong, but I'm right.
You know, it is real.
What?
Elden Ring: Shadow of the Erdtree, which I got an advanced copy of.
That would be absolutely crazy, wild, nuts.
Mm-hmm. Do you want it? Do you want one?
Yeah.
I have 2.
Can you give it to me?
I was thinking of giving me one and my cat one, but do you want the second?
Can you give it to me? Can you give it to me right now?
I'm going to go another behind the scenes thing. I didn't even tell you yet. I got an email from some guy being like, I can get you codes for games. And I'm like, I'm flattered that you found us, but his name is Doug.
Doug Bowser at Nintendo.com.
Yeah.
What do you think his work email is? I think it's dbows at Nintendo.com. No, at Nintendo.en.
It's probably Nintendo NA, Nintendo North America.
Oh. Yeah, that
or
might
just
be
NO. It's probably at NOA.com, Nintendo of America.
Because I want to email him. But also, do you think it's Outlook or do you think it's Gmail? Most companies use Outlook. But
Yeah, probably.
some companies use Gmail. But is Outlook universal? I mean, is Outlook optimal for communicating with people in Japan? Do they use Outlook? Or do they use Gmail? Or do they use Yahoo?
Yeah, they use Yahoo.
Perhaps even AOL.com.
No, they use Hotmail.
Hotmail.
What are we talking about?
Hey guys, thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. We hope you had a really great time, and we look forward to talking to you next week with all of the news and game reviews, and we'll talk about that Assassin's Creed trailer, and we'll talk about your mom. Just kidding.
Whoa!
Thanks for listening. Happy have a good day, week, month, and good night. Bye.